Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Mondays with Mundy. That's me, Jim Mundy, the historian and art curator for the Union League Legacy Foundation. Today's episode is another one of Jim's picks. If you've been watching the series over the last few months, we've begun this kind of sub-series where I will pick a piece of art from the collection and tell everybody about it. So today I'm focusing on the sculpture collection because I think the League's sculpture collection is as good, if not better in some ways, than the paintings, but underappreciated and undervalued. So I've picked the sculpture, Esmeralda Teaching the Goat to Spell Her Lover's Name. It was created by an Italian sculptor named Antonio Rosetti circa 1870 in Rome, where he was working at that time. But the subject is rather unusual. He did mostly mythological figures, but now he has one from literature, specifically The Hunchback of Notre Dame, written by the French novelist Victor Hugo and published in 1831, just 3 decades after the French Revolution. The novel itself takes place in 15th century France, an equally tumultuous period in French history. So here we go. The story opens in a little village called Reims, outside of Paris, where a young lady, Paquette Guibertot, has become a prostitute. She had a brief love affair with a nobleman who left her behind. She turns to prostitution. She becomes the scourge of the village. She finds herself pregnant and gives birth to a young girl named Agnes. And Agnes becomes the love of her life. And now her life has meaning again. And things look very bright and happy. When all of a sudden, along comes a band of gypsies and they kidnap Agnes. And the villagers think that the gypsies have cannibalized Agnes so that she's gone forever, she's dead. In the place of Agnes, the gypsies leave behind a young baby boy who is horribly deformed. The villagers exorcise the baby and will take him to Paris, where they leave him on the foundling bed outside of Notre Dame Cathedral. Okay? So that sets the plot. There are 3 main characters in the movie. So we've already been introduced to Agnes, whose name becomes Esmeralda as a young girl. There is Claude Fallon, the archdeacon of the Notre Dame, who basically adopts this young, deformed baby boy and names him Quasimodo, after Quasimodo Sunday, which is the first Sunday after Easter Sunday. And then, of course, we have Quasimodo himself. So how do these 3, and then there's going to be another character named Phoebus. Phoebus, it turns out, is the captain of the king's archers, and we're talking King Louis XI. So the plot is one of love found, love lost, and then tragedy. Claude Fallon, a celibate priest and the Archdeacon of Notre Dame, will see the young Esmeralda, named for the emerald that she wears around her neck, the paste emerald that she wears around her neck. He will fall in love with her. Quasimodo will also fall in love with her after she shows him an act of kindness. Phoebus, who saved Esmeralda from being abducted by Quasimodo on Claude Fallon's instructures, will not fall in love with Esmeralda, but she will fall in love with him. And actually, when Fallon finds this out, that actually he thinks that Phoebus and Esmeralda are about to go off as lovers, he will attack Phoebus, stab him, leaving everybody to think that Phoebus has died. But Fallon, rather than taking the true blame for the attempted murder, actually blames it Esmeralda. Now, Esmeralda had been living in Paris quite peacefully and quite happily, and dancing in public to make money for a living. But she also had a pet goat named Djali, and she had taught Djali how to both spell and count using a tambourine, which we see here off to Esmeralda's side. So that trick of being able to spell is going to get Esmeralda in trouble because she teaches the goat how to spell Phoebus's name. And so the plot will thicken in that relationship between Phoebus and Esmeralda, who loves who or who doesn't love who. And Phoebus will do everything he can to take advantage of Esmeralda's unrequited love for him. Regretfully, this story will not end well because Fallon will plot to save himself. Esmeralda, struck by her own love for Phoebus, will die thinking that he loved her. Fallon, Quasimodo, who has fallen in love with Esmeralda himself, will try and rescue her. Instead, he will turn his love into anger for Falon. And after he has saved Esmeralda from being hung once already and taken her into sanctuary at Notre Dame Cathedral, Quasimodo will watch her hang as he throws Falon's body off the tower at the cathedral itself. Quite a plot, isn't it? Lots of give and take in this, and lots of just pure human emotion in a very raw time in history. Quasimodo will see this white-clad body hanging by the gallows, from the gallows, and he will follow the funeral procession out to the mass grave in the cemetery where they will bury Esmeralda. And Quasimodo, the one true person who loves her unrequitedly, will simply lay down with her, grasp her in his arms, and will starve himself to death in the arms of his own true love. It's really quite a story. And all I can do is encourage you. Watch one of the movies. There have been many, many versions of the movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. There is the novel itself. Watch one, read one. But whichever you do, make sure that the next time you're in the League House, walk down the 15th Street hallway and stop by this piece of sculpture, this beautiful piece of marble produced in Rome by the sculptor Rosetti, and just think about all those different themes in the novel itself, and what a master Rosetti was at taking the figure from the novel and bringing her to life in some ways in a piece of marble. So that's our episode for today. I hope when you come to the League House, you not only look at Esmeralda, but at the entire sculpture collection, primarily on the first and second floors. We have some wonderful pieces. They're all magnificent. And I think you'd really appreciate them a lot more for all of that. So thanks for watching. Please stay tuned in 2 weeks when we'll present our next episode of Mondays with Mundy. In the meantime, everybody stay well, stay healthy, and have a good Memorial Day weekend. Thank you and goodbye.